A lot of times I'm driving, there's nothing to do, and I shuffle through the radio before I unglue. There's a lot of red on ways, it's traffic, I'm screwed, and I'm wired a bit different than a regular dude. It's not a bad thing, I embrace it, it's true. The radio don't stimulate brain chemistry fluid. The Buddha found nirvana and the Four Noble Truths. Through a meditative process, right action he proved. For me, I require the use of a tool, a detector, pin, pointer, shovel, and beach scoop. I'm meant to work the dirt with my history crew, but everywhere I look, my interest taboo. Most people choose Bieber over Tippecanoe. What does a detectorist listen to when the radio is full of bad music and news? I need an alternative for me to peruse. Beyond Sight and Sound gets fantastic reviews. A metal detecting show where my thought bubble brews. Thank you, Josh Kimmel, for inviting me to a detecting dork out with guests like yours truly.
Are you looking for a high-quality beach and sand scoop? Are you trying to take your hunting to the extreme? How about an American-based company that stands behind their product and everything they sell? Then check out our friends over at XTREME Scoops. John has been making scoops for some time now and makes a quality beach and sand scoop to take your hunting to the next level. XTREME Scoops recently released their new sand shredder that works great in the water and on the beach. And if you're a new Equinox user, you may want to check out his Surfmaster X3 that can trap those small targets you new Equinox users are finding out there. XTREME Scoop's company approach is let's do it right. So do it right, buy it once, and go to the extreme. XTREMEScoops.com. That's XTREME scoops.com.
Hey boys and girls, we are going to talk about S&W shooters and prospectors. What is S&W shooters and prospectors?
We at S&W Shooters and Prospectors help people find treasure.
Did you say treasure?
Yes, treasure. Just listen to this amazing review from our happy customer, Jackie Sparrow.
Chuck was shipshape and a pleasure to deal with. I was able to buy everything that I needed at prices that were shillings less than others. I found my 9 pieces of 8 in no time. Savvy?
I know you're asking yourself, why should I shop at S&W Shooter and Prospectors?
Chuck Smalley has over 45 years of metal detecting experience. He works with each customer one-on-one to customize their setup to match their skill level.
So if you always dreamt of being a pirate, contact Chuck at S&W Shooters and Prospectors and he'll take a great deal for you.
Eye patch and rum not included.
Caution. Please do not operate motor vehicles or power equipment while under the influence of this show. Listening to this show could cause side effects such as bouts of laughter, violent binges of cabin fever, and even dreams of silver and gold. Please be advised. Now that the fine print is out of the way, on with the show.
All right, the fine print's out of the way. It's time to roll with the show. We're back. We're live once again. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for all the really cold-digging people out there. It's cold. Definitely cold. I suppose the southern contingent has been out doing some detecting, but up here in the land of snow and blow, it's not conducive. Chuck was out for a little bit, not for himself, and he can confirm it was definitely cold. So, 'Tis the season. It's that time of year, I guess. Unfortunately. But what do you do? That's the way it goes, I guess. But, hey, that's just the fact of things. That's the reality. So looking into the chat, it looks like we've got Bills, we've got Chucks, we've got Barb, we've got the Bortners, we've got Steve, we've got we've got Mike, Dennis, quite a few people dropping in. Nice to see. Definitely. I see that, oh boy, Mr. Candy Corn himself, back from the COVID. Good to see you in, Frank. Nice to see you've been recovering well as well. Definitely. Oh, all right. First and foremost, links in the description and in the chat. Shooters and Prospectors, A.I.P, DETECTEES, TheRingFinders, All Metal Militia on Facebook, Metal Detecting NYC on Facebook, Metal Detecting Beyond Sight and Sound, I&I Group. I believe the MDCI link is still in there for Mike Lacomette and his group. The Relic Hunters Group. We've also got All Metal Militia. All Metal Militia, Detected Outdoors, Metal Detecting NYC, Ohio Metal Detecting, Crazy Spider Adventures, all on YouTube, for those that do the YouTube thing. And finally, I found out why I'm not getting notifications on YouTube. From YouTube in my email. Apparently, it's been like that for quite some time, and there was an article released explaining why, when it happened, and somebody brought it to my attention finally. No more email notifications when people upload videos. That's why. That's alright. It actually, I don't know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's worked out to where it's saved me a phenomenal amount of time from falling down the rabbit hole. But at the same time, I feel like I'm missing things. I don't know. It's the way it goes. Nokta Makro website, the Legend launch video, Mitty Mitty Horde commercial, Terry Shannon's website. I think Midwest Refineries may even still be in there. Coin Rings by Sully. Detect America Electrolysis Bootcamp videos. That'll also get you to the Detect America Facebook group, where you can find Frank, Steve, and Ronnie doing DA Live Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, and Shelly and Dawn doing Can You Dig It Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, we're here on Wednesdays and Sundays. There's a few other people in the mix, too. Although right now I'm drawing a blank as to those time slots. I think I just need to make a list. Maybe Frank I think it was Frank. He might have had the right idea the other week, saying he just needed a list of them there in front of him. Although for me to have a list in front of me, it's got to be, kind of like a 2-foot by 3-foot whiteboard or something. At this point, I figure, hey, we're doing good maybe I should check. We're doing good if there's no typos tonight. Without a proofreader. Which actually is phenomenally amazing right now, I do believe. I'm acclimating to some new meds. They've changed things up a little bit. So we'll have to see. Either way, I see that Nelson has made it in. Jason's made it in. Welcome aboard. Good to see everyone dropping in. And I think I saw earlier in the chat that Chuck is breaking in the new Mac. So apparently they're around Christmas, New Year's. His must have caught the COVID and didn't make it through. That's unfortunate. Sad to hear. But at least it sounds like all of the information has been transferred over to the new computer. He's breaking it in tonight, so congrats to Chuck on the new system. Hopefully he gets many years of service out of it as well. I think the last one lasted him 10 years, maybe more. Good deal. Definitely. So, what do we got going on? People have been talking lately about the Garrett gloves. I haven't seen them. From everything I've heard, they sound like they're not too bad, and you can't beat the price. As a matter of fact, I'm waiting to hear back from someone who ordered a couple of pairs to see what they think of them. And who knows? At that point, maybe I'll go ahead and order a pair or two, try them out for myself, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see what comes of it. And maybe we'll hear about how they worked out. You know, maybe we'll work it into an episode or whatever. I don't know. We'll have to see. Chuck says the gloves are nice. And yeah, at $10 a pair, that's very enticing for people. And I guess that kind of falls right in with tonight. We just figured, hey, might be kind of interesting to see what people carry into the field with them detecting. Some people take the minimalist approach. Less is best. You know, travel light, travel quick. Other people carry, 3 of everything into the field, it seems like. I know Frank's got plenty of backups. Although I do believe most of them he leaves in the truck if he doesn't lose them somewhere along the way and have to backtrack for them. It happens to all of us, though. Happens to all of us. I've got some that I'll leave in the truck. I've got some that I take with me. It all just depends on where I'm at, what I'm doing, and what's going on. That's just the way it goes. Normally, though, myself, like I said, depending on what's going on, I've obviously, you've got your detector and your headphones. Past that, though, I've got my pouch, my digger, pen pointer, my gloves, a couple of pill bottles for the, clad coins or pull tabs, things like that we can keep them separate in the pouch. And then maybe we'll even throw the scrap iron and stuff like that in to the pouch itself that we find. It looks like, I do believe we have Chuck on with us. How's it going, Chuck?
Pretty good. A little cold again. We dropped down to single digits and winds, and we had freezing rain, about 1/10 of an inch, and this morning it was a circus out there on the roads.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere else. And it went through. We've been up to 32, 33 degrees yesterday, and today we're back down to 5 right now. So,
Yep.
It's that roller coaster thing.
We saw about, I think 26, 27 degrees with the wind chill, and that's been the warmest day this week, and that'll be the warmest day that we have for a while, the way it looks.
Yeah.
And that wind's nasty. It just cuts right through you.
There is a caveat to that heavy freeze. The ground's getting pretty well. I can attest. There's frost in the ground now deep. But
yeah, the digging's a little tough.
Digging's a little tough, but the caveat is if we get a deep frost, the heave brings stuff up, and
absolutely,
it's phenomenal hunting there. Why that first thaw goes out. I've experienced it going back into places I thought was hunted out, and it's like, oh my God, where'd all this come from? But they're deep. They're running 6 to 8 inches, maybe a little further, but
oh yeah,
Mother Nature and brought them up so we can find them.
Yep, that's. I like to hunt in the spring after the thaw. Once the top of the ground has started drying up some, I don't like being out there and turning it into a giant mud fest. But in the spring, after that's kind of dried up off the surface of the ground, you still got all that moisture in the ground, and then in the fall, the signals are pretty deep again too, and yep. Those are some great times of the year to be out there in the dirt.
Yes, so you just look forward to it that way.
Right.
I'm looking forward to making the run down to Florida, then turn right around in 3 weeks and drive down to Texas. So.
Oh, well, see, you'll get a couple of reprieves from the cold then.
I'm hoping so.
Right.
I'm hoping to bring back some pork to roast out of Texas.
Oh?
Yeah, going hog hunt.
Oh, doing a different type of hunting.
Yeah.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
Son's Marine Corps buddies are getting together, and they asked the dads to go along. So we're going down on a hunt down between Dallas and Houston over on the east side. So that'll be different.
Right. Have you ever done that before?
Well, yes. I've hunted in northern Texas, and I've hunted in Tennessee for wild boar.
Sounds like an interesting type of hunt.
Travis shot a real nice one, and then I got a larger one, which they get big. You don't eat them. You want the mid-range size ones.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's what I'm going to go do there, and then we start in on the hunt season. I'll be over at Detecting the Heartlands hunt. We'll have our own hunt, and then go up to Alaska and wherever else I can land my feet in this year.
Wow.
Now I'm hoping that we get Ronnie and Steve and Frank out to the swing in the summer hunt. We talked about that club hunt at the club meeting the other night. It's looking like it's coming together. So we're working on it.
Good. Well, hopefully by that point, COVID will be laying back a little bit again.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see.
Ohio Relic Hunter made it in. You asked me how to prepare the boar meat. I bring it back, and there's a place in Fort Madison, Iowa that preps it into sausage, and then I'll have one smoked quarter out of it.
Oh, there you go.
Chopped, however else they cut it up.
They're going to smoke it for you, or are you going to smoke it?
They're going to smoke it. They'll hang it, try and do a Virginia smoker on it.
Nice. Well, that doesn't sound bad.
No.
That ought to be some good eating.
Yeah, and the last one we did, we didn't smoke at all. We just had it cut in chops and things like that, and then had a leg done, and that Tennessee boar taste in along the ribs. You could taste it had a nutty flavor. They eat a lot of acorn down there.
Right. Well, and that's the way it goes when you're game hunting. Basically, the meat takes on a bit of the flavor of the environment that they're in.
Right.
You know,
so you were asking
one
what we
location will
carry
taste
out in
different.
the field tonight. We're going to get back off the hogs. They're talking about what they carry in the field there in the line.
Well, you never know. Some of them may be taking a pork chop with them into the field.
Yeah, it might be. Or going into the field hoping maybe for a shot at some pork chops.
Right.
Down south, that's pretty much open hunting down in several states.
Either that or...
Texas, you don't even need a license.
Either that or they're taking their napkins with them so they can come out and have some good barbecue or something.
That's right. So, but I am taking the detector with me down there. Trust me.
There you go. So you be kind of multitasking with the hunting.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. So what do you carry into the field detecting?
Usually I've got my waist set up on it. I had that made, and that has the, a coin catch, a back pouch for trash. I got my holster there for the pinpointer and the dig tool. Generally, I've got some water if we're going a long ways out, and I've got a little something to munch on. And it all depends if we're not too far from the parking area, we're working back and forth. You can swing in and get something to eat out of the truck. But there's been times I've got rain gear on. Now, if I'm in Alaska, that's a whole different story. I'm generally carrying something other than detecting equipment to start with.
Right.
And
a little more than just a pinpointer.
That's right. And then I've got pickaxe and food for the day over on the bike. You never carry the food on your body. Keep it over on the bike and work away from it.
Right.
That kind of stuff. And plenty of water.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely got to stay hydrated out there, whether it's Alaska or anywhere for that matter. Although,
generally, I got key or pemmican on me, something to munch on up here, but out there, the food stays away from you.
Right. Yeah,
if
otherwise...
they want that over on the bike, they can have it, as long as they're not chasing me around for it.
Right. Then it turns into a game of who can run faster.
Mike is saying he keeps it simple. I pretty much do that. The same thing, typically. But, okay, go to DIV, and Barb can attest, you wandered, and that's a huge property.
A lot of land to cover.
Allow you to park out on the road down through the middle, but still you go up and over a mountainside and over to the timber and up, and you'll put on, before you even drop the coil hardly, you'll get out there a half a mile.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And
so
a lot of times...
the decision to walk back for a snack versus what you got with you, do I want to walk back and come back? No. So you try to carry some extra stuff with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times, too, like I said, it depends on the environment, the situation, what's going on, what I'm doing. Maybe I've got my hand digger, maybe I've got a long-handled digger. Like at DIV, a lot of times they've got the long-handled shovels.
Right.
Because they're just digging deep. And if I'm out in the woods or something, maybe I've got my hand digger and a long-handled shovel or something out in the field, something like that.
Right.
And then, like you said, up in Alaska, you're carrying a pickaxe. What sort of pickaxe are you normally carrying? Like an 18-inch or something bigger?
We've got a couple different styles, but the one I've got is an Apex.
Mm-hmm. The Badger?
Mid-range handle, so I can get some leverage and pry and do that kind of stuff. And it's wood, and it's I believe it's an ash handle.
Yeah, so a good quality hardwood.
Yep.
Which
And
is
then
what
I
you
had
need
that
on
one.
something like that.
We sell those out at A.I.P, and they custom set mine up with extra magnets to, you're breaking a hole open, you sweep it, you try to see if you're pulling any piece of nail, any small metal out if you're running PI, and then keep going, and you got to have some toughness on that thing, because we're not talking pebbles here, folks. We're rolling boulders sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the Apex line myself. They make some of the best ones out there, and mine's outfitted with at least 3 neodymium magnets on it.
And the boys up at Apex burnt my name into the handle, and shooters and prospectors, when you're up there, that way it doesn't get mixed in if there's several guys with you with some of the equipment, and they can say, well, that one's mine. No, it's not. My name's on that handle.
Good point. That does bring up an interesting topic. I mean, because these picks, they're not cheap, but you get what you pay for, and that's a nice touch, having that burn into the handle.
I think that pick that I've got was like $85 at that time, and I think they're over $100 now with the extra magnet, the rare earth magnets.
Oh yeah, easily. I know. I want to say I've had an Apex for 6-7 years, probably, something like that, and I'll bet then they were, for like the Badger, the 18-inch, they were running probably somewhere around $100 to $125 easily. And now with COVID, who knows? But they're well worth it.
They welded a ring on each magnet. In other words, the magnet was placed, and then they weld a ring around that so you don't lose them.
Right. But they're well worth the money. I mean, you get what you pay for. You go down to the hardware.
I got a question for everybody out there. Barb mentioned it. She carries her Bursa. For those of you who don't know what a Bursa is, she's probably carrying the Bursa 380. That's a pistol. How many of you, when you're out wandering around, pack, other than going to Alaska and carrying it for very obvious reasons? Have you ever had a run-in with anybody? If you have, call in. Let us know.
Well, myself, normally I'm not necessarily packing in the traditional sense. We'll put it that way. I like to stay a little more close quarters in a sense. So usually I've got a good blade on me, but there are other situations where, depending on what's going on, what I'm walking into, I'll hunt with somebody who is concealed carrying.
Right. I'm just curious. I have in the past in a couple areas sledded in because I've got actually a holster built into the one pouch.
Although now, I guess, in Ohio anyway, you can conceal carry without a permit. Although Ohio is an open carry state to begin with, but you can conceal carry too.
I always gone constitutional carry. Oh, a lot of them are. That's the way it should be.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the... I don't have any firearms in the house, but that is our God-given constitutional right.
Right. And Steve Copeland says same in Kansas. Constitutional carry.
Nice.
In Alaska, the last I knew, it was a misdemeanor to carry concealed. You can be fined for carrying concealed in certain parts of the state. It's open carry state.
Well,
and downtown Anchorage, and you're in the Myers or one of the other stores, and they're all packing. Same way up in Nova. It's not in the outlying areas, Fairbanks. They're packing. And it's not because they're worried about the people. Some of the worst bear attacks happen in the parkways along Anchorage.
Absolutely. And that's kind of one of those things, like we say, if you're going somewhere to detect that you haven't been in before, it pays to know your local regulations. and
I had a
laws say
run-in
you
one
may
time
want to
about
check into that stuff when you're
years
carrying.
ago with a group up in not far from me, and it got a little hair-raising for a little bit, and I worked my way back to the truck and took off and went back. At that time, we had a gun shop in Clinton. After that, I had that belt work done and had a holster built in to carry my 9mm on the inside of the pouch.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so there are times in places around here even that there are problems.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's some areas in Michigan that can be pretty dicey. There's some areas in Ohio that it can get kind of dicey, and then sometimes it's not even necessarily the people, it's the wildlife, like in Alaska. So you just never know. You've got to be careful out there. And anymore, the day that we're in, there's a lot of crazy people out there that you got to protect yourself.
Yes, you do. So I just wondered. I've seen a lot of people carrying different things for different reasons out into the field. Hunting in England, that's a whole different story. You get dropped off on a corner of a field, which are just as big as some of the big wide open fields here, if not bigger, and you wander around that field all day. You can put on miles, and you can be all the way over on the other side when it's time to eat lunch and have to pack back and that kind of stuff. So you're carrying, and one point was brought up about all-purpose paper, or lamest terms, toilet paper.
Right.
You can blow your nose with it before it's used for other purposes. You know what I'm saying? And wipe things off. It's all purpose paper at that point. But yeah, you got to carry it.
Yeah, you never know when the need may arise for such a thing.
Right.
And at that point too, you may want to pay very, very close attention to the vegetation you're in.
This is true.
Otherwise, it could make for a bad time.
And I did see Frank mention that he has candy corn in all the pockets.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And always a roll in a pack, too. Well, you gotta be prepared. Gotta be prepared.
Chuck Martin states he hunts a lot at night on the beach.
Oh, yeah. So there you've got
a lot of them do that down there. I'd be a little concerned about certain areas on a beach. I've been on some areas down around the coast that were a little dicey in the evening.
Yeah, absolutely. But there again, depending on the environment and the situation, so he's probably out, when he's out detecting, he's probably got a headlamp.
Yeah.
Quite the handy thing when you're night hunting. Unless you've got a Nokta detector that's got a built-in LED light.
There you go. Yeah, they do. They got the flashlight built into them, LED.
Right, exactly. And Mike Spicer's in the chat. Welcome aboard. Been a while since I've seen him in. But that's the way it goes.
Oh, that's a nasty story, Mike. I've heard stories, I'm quoting here, on the hunts from Mike Spicer, where someone does their deed in a hole, tosses a quarter in it, and covers it up.
Oh, that ain't right. That ain't right at all.
Oh, that's why you carry the 380. You find him.
Is that what you're doing at DIV, Barb? You're throwing a quarter in the hole?
No, sir.
Okay.
No. I'm going to tell you what. There are some things you do before you leave your hotel. And once I leave my hotel, I may, do number one out in the field, but that's it. Because that just ain't right.
Yeah, that's not cool. I don't know. Whoever does that sort of thing, that takes a pretty sort of twisted individual that you're asking for trouble if somebody catches on to that. I wouldn't advise anyone to do that as a practical joke.
Yeah,
Not
women
cool.
women have the disadvantage of going to these large hunts, especially when you got 10 acres of open land. I so prefer a big property with lots of woods.
Right. Well, even at that, you still have to pay attention to the vegetation.
Yeah, well, it's usually November and March, so we're pretty good, with the poison ivy. You have to worry more about that in the ground than you do anywhere else.
Right. That is true, because even though the leaves may have died off, the oil is still in the root system, and if you ain't got your gloves on, well, you're going to transfer it.
And I wear gloves more.
Well, you'll
DIV
transfer it
than
even
I
with
do.
the gloves, but still.
Yeah, and I wear gloves at DIV more than anywhere just because of digging in the ground, and you can't tell, are you digging in poison ivy or not,
Right.
And I've seen a couple of really, really bad cases come out of Virginia. It's like day 2 on a 5-day hunt, and they're posting, where are your gloves? Oh, my God, I've got it from head to toe, and it's like,
Oh, yeah.
well, yeah, you dug in it, and then you went pee, and you're a man, and, yeah, you have an issue now.
Yeah.
Well, I've known I was going to be in Ivy and at it, and they've got a lotion out called Ivy Shield. And you hands around your neck or face, whatever you may be in, and later on wash it, and it doesn't allow the oils to soak into you.
Nice.
There's
I know.
also a soap, Fells Napa, I think. That
Naphtha.
Yeah, if you use that when you shower, it'll keep it from spreading.
Right. I know there was that's probably been 12, 13, 14 years ago, something like that. There was a hunt that a group of us had done very early spring. So the vegetation was just starting to come up. And a lot of it wasn't yet. And there were 85 of us digging. And I'd say it was maybe 4 days after that, we had heard that about 40 of those came down with poison ivy.
Ooh.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm not allergic to it, so it didn't matter for me, although I try not to push my luck, because you cannot be allergic to something and wake up one day and all of a sudden you are. But
it can go the other way too, Josh, because I was highly allergic as a kid and caught it so bad so many times that now, yeah, I still worry about it, but if I get it, I usually get 1 or 2 bumps and it's gone in a couple of days.
I'm about the same way. It doesn't bother me much, but poison oak, which we have a lot on the islands over here, along the river, that kind of stuff, that tears me up. So I'm very cautious.
Right.
Watching for that. But
yeah, you got to be careful with that
I
stuff.
A long sleeve, a light long sleeve when I'm detecting. I wear gloves. I wear, long pants. I don't wear shorts out in the brush. I'm an old farm kid. Shorts were not usually accepted very well, especially in the cow barn when we were milking and things like that.
Right.
Yeah, topsiders aren't good either.
No.
I can attest.
Yeah, Nelson, that's the same stuff.
And you've got to kind of watch it too and be aware. I apparently, that's been within the last 10 years, probably. I had been out at a country site hunting, and apparently I had gotten into some poison ivy. I didn't give it any thought because, like I said, it doesn't bug me. But it had been on my clothing at that point. And I had somebody, a woman that I worked with, happened to be in the area, so I just caught a lift back to the house from her. And I had been sitting in that vehicle, and she's highly allergic to poison ivy. And she had dropped me off, and later on that day, I guess her and her husband had went somewhere. So now her husband's driving, and she's sitting where I had been earlier.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah, boy, did I hear about that, because I came back into work from my days off, and she wasn't around, and I thought, well, that's odd. I wonder where she is. And come find out, she had to make a trip to the emergency room because she got poison ivy from sitting in that seat that I had been in earlier that day.
Oh.
And
Wow.
I hear it was not a fun experience.
No, when you get it bad, you get it real bad.
And she did.
Yeah.
I felt terrible for that.
Yeah, but who would have thunk it, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't have thought about it. And she didn't even give it a thought that I may have been into something like that. And it was just one of those unfortunate circumstances. But lesson learned, now I'm a little more mindful about stuff like that. If I am riding with someone that we're out hunting, hey, are you allergic to poison ivy? You know, I'm not. You may want to wipe down this side of the vehicle just in case so that you don't wind up getting it if you are.
Right. And I can tell you, I got it so bad I had to go to the doctors and get shots and get steroids and antibiotics, and it was terrible. And probably the funniest thing was I remember being chased by my brother who had a big pile of poison ivy in his hands. I was probably maybe 9. And needless to say, I was screaming because I'm like, I don't want to do this again this year, you know? And my mother come out onto the porch on the phone and was yelling at us to shut up because I'm screaming. And all I could do was just keep running and point at him. And when she seen what he had in his hands, oh, God, he got the biggest whooping he ever done got.
Yeah, it's some nasty stuff for some people. I used to know a woman with a glass eye that she was out doing yard work when someone was burning poison ivy down the way, and the wind was carrying the smoke through, and she wound up, it got in there and just irritated all that tissue behind the glass eye where she couldn't even wear that glass eye for a few days.
That's terrible. But yeah, burning is the one thing that if you can get it in your lungs.
Yeah, you don't want to breathe that stuff.
No, do not burn it. It'll kill you. But yeah. But my brother eventually did get bad poison ivy at like 26 years old, and my mother wanted me to give him sympathy, and all I could do was laugh.
Going, what do you think of it now?
Yeah, she was like, your poor brother, and I just started cracking up, and she's like, that's not nice. And I'm like, payback, you know what?
Right, he got everything that was coming to him.
Yeah, just took a good, 20 years to catch up with them.
Right. You gotta be careful.
Well, y'all did really good, you and Tam, on the kids' giveaway. I think I mailed 2 big packages to y'all. I think she
Yeah, we
outdid
had a few pictures we posted up there, and that's all your fault, by the way.
My fault?
Yeah, remember, I was getting messages going, not seeing much activity from you or Tim this weekend. What's going on? Aren't you guys playing? And next thing you know, I'm getting messages, I'm going to have to get a bigger box.
those chairs.
Did that last detector make it over to that kid? I haven't tracked it, Barb.
I do believe so. I gave him the tracking number, and he was very thankful. And nice. I told him he should have got with me, sooner.
Yeah, and that kind of fell through the crack there a little bit. So
no, he was fine.
Went, oh, you didn't tell us when you wanted it shipped. No. It was supposed to, So
it's absolutely cool. He's got the tracking number. I told him to let me know when he got it. I told him to track it. It's all good. He was like, no problem.
And, Apex Winter get theirs?
Yes.
Good.
Well, not to mention the fact, too, that this at that time of the year, shipping's kind of dicey anyway.
Oh,
yeah. It was just, I thought it went, it didn't go. So then she said, hey, and I went, oh, and I checked, and it went out immediately then. So
my post lady needs to say she didn't get a Christmas present this year, because she just leaves the little things in my mailbox saying she attempted delivery. Well, I just put $800 into my driveway to make it drivable for people that don't know how to drive up a mountain.
Right.
My car has no problem. And she still doesn't deliver it. So she left me 2 things in my mailbox Christmas Eve. She couldn't even attempt to deliver them on Christmas Eve. I go to the post office on Monday or Tuesday to get them. They find one. They found one I didn't have a thing for. And the one that I did from Little Dirt Digger, they were like, it isn't here. And I said, her daddy sent me the tracking. Here's the tracking. Here it is on my phone. It says you have it. And he's like, well, we can't find it. I said, well, ain't that nice? I was mad. I said, a 10-year-old sends me a present. First of all, my mail person doesn't even attempt to deliver it. And now you can't find it. That's Kodak. And I walked out. And he took my phone number. Well, guess what? I got home, and here he comes, and he's got my package. The new postmaster delivered it.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, you didn't need to do that. I would have come back. And he went, nope, I'm sorry. Your mail lady wrote the wrong name on the box.
Oh, well, isn't that fine?
I'm like, you can't get good help nowadays, can you? They can't even do their job.
No. The postal worker that runs our route, I'm pretty sure they missed about half of their time on Sesame Street. Because I'm not sure if they can read numbers. I'm not sure if they can do letters. We get things for different streets in our box. We get the neighbor's mail in one of our potted plants. We just had an incident a couple of weeks ago where Tam was waiting for a package. And she happened to check it. And she's like, well, it says it's delivered, but I don't see it anywhere. And she come around to check one of the doors that we rarely use. Because normally if they set them over there, they'll set them on the porch outside. And she hadn't seen anything. She come over to check the door. And sure enough, the package was between the doors there. Along with a package for our neighbor that we don't have a clue how long it had been there.
Oh,
because
God,
we
it's a good
hardly
thing it
use
was in
that.
Omaha.
Well, we wound up, we contacted the neighbor, and the neighbor came over to get the package, and they're like, oh, yeah, that was supposed to be a Christmas present for one of the kids. Well, sorry, we never checked that door, hardly. Well, we've been wondering where it went.
My sister works at a hospital in the kitchen. She has for 20-something years. And the people she works with, they're all younger generation. They call out all the time. And half of them don't do their work. And I talked to her the other day. I said, how was work? And she said, oh, I worked with Burger King this weekend, and it's worse than McDonald's. They have more than just a few French fries missing. So,
what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
when you're at DIV, now I've hunted DIV. Now this year was in a little different location than I hunted, and that is so wide open a field that we were at. You could see the one home with a cupola on it that supposedly was the Confederate headquarters, and I mean it was wide open. When you do have to go, do you head for the hill and the timber?
I'm going to tell you what. The best thing I ever did was, I think it was a year ago when we went out, maybe 2 years ago. And we weren't going to go out because it was going to rain, but it was drizzling. So the guys were like, I really want to hit this one field, even if we get a couple hours. And I'm like, well, I found firing range that I had pulled like a dozen bullets out of the day before when we had to leave. I said, I want to go back there and clean it up. So I had one of those cheap Garrett ponchos on. Mm-hmm. And so I'm up there digging, and I'm like, rain makes you want to go pee. Sorry, it does. And I was like, where am I going to go? Because there's like people everywhere. And I just took my Fines pouch, with my stuff, and went under my poncho right out in the open field. And I posted that on Digging Virginia that night and said, I found a new use for ponchos, lady. Just carry one, so when you got to go, just put it on. And you can go and ain't got to worry if somebody's 10 feet away from you. And the women thought that was fabulous.
There's a way, right?
You got to be creative sometimes.
I could tell you at, where was that? At Glebe. It's pretty wide open, and I'm like, there's a big 20-foot pile of trees down there stacked up. Well, that's where I headed, But then sometimes you can just walk over a hill and you can't see anyone. You just got to be quick about it.
Well, that's true, too.
There you go. Just curious.
So sometimes when you're out detecting in the field, you might want to have one of those ponchos in the pouch.
I carry one all the time now. But I can tell you there are women that will hitchhike a ride to the portalets. And I'm like, you're losing 45 minutes of hunting by going to the portalets to go pee. Why bother?
Right.
And I can say I've actually made the guys stand on one side of the truck and I go on the other side of the truck. It's like, and they laugh.
Hey,
like,
you got to do what you got to do.
But they think it's cool. They're like, I'm old, not as old as Chuck.
What's this? Get the digs in where I can?
I don't know. I might be older than Chuck, but I mean, I'm over 60, and so the guys I detect with think it's hilarious that I have no problem going and taking a squat out wherever I need to.
Well, you just got to prioritize.
And digging is why I'm there.
Right.
I'm not gonna spend an hour, to go find a portalet,
Right. That's during that time frame you may have found that Civil War relic that you've been dying to find.
There you go.
Especially I was digging and I was finding things, and it killed me that I had to walk back to the truck to get lunch, but I knew I was at that point. If I didn't get calories, I was in trouble. And so I was like, there was 20 people around us. I was like, do you all need anything? I'm going to get lunch. And there were like 5 people that said, bring me a water, bring me a water. I'm like, I carried as many waters as I could in my arms back. I ate my lunch on the way back. But I had a bottle of water stuck everywhere I could, every pocket, down the front of my coat, everywhere. Because there were so many people that didn't want to leave to get, it's like, you're going? Yeah, bring me a water, please,
Right. Makes sense. Gotta stay hydrated.
Well, it was hotter than it was supposed to be. And, I had taken plenty of water, but I went through them so quick that I'm like, okay, I'm almost out of water. I'm going to go get my lunch. I'm going to eat, take a break. The minute I hit the road, I took my heavy boots off and carried them up the hill. It was like so nice to get them off. It was like, and I got almost probably 75 yards from the truck when someone stopped and said, want to ride? I was like, yeah, why not? I'm only going to that next vehicle, but thank you.
Right. Any sort of a break is fine with me.
There you go.
But I did find a lot of buttons this last trip, which I'm not a button person. I'm not a button person, and I think I found 6 and 2 button backs.
Well,
nice.
What would you rather find, the buttons or lead? I prefer the buttons, and I found coins up there, and I found Civil War token up there out of Schenectady, New York.
Nice.
I found a Flying Eagle cent, shield nickel, couple Indians.
I have 3 coins. I have my first and only large cent that I got at DIV. I have my seeded dime.
Very
which
cool.
is my one and only. And this last November, I got me a 44 freaking Mercury.
No, we're at years off.
I saw that silver and was like, oh my God, because I'm thinking seeded. I'm thinking, because it was obviously a dime. And when I rubbed it off, I went, it's a freaking Merc. And somebody went, but you got silver. I went, it's a freaking Merc.
Somebody was out picking up battle items back in the 40s that hadn't sunk out of sight yet.
Yeah.
Right.
But it depends on the lead. Now, there are really good lead to find. Like I have my Nesler.
Good point.
You've got some other rare bullets, that are definitely Confederate. And then I love finding Colt pistols, your Civil War pistol bullets. Because you either find a couple of them or you don't find any the whole trip.
Right.
But then brass, I just put my 2 little display cases. I drove to Georgia to pick those up for $40 off of Marketplace. And they're gorgeous. I have all my brass and all my buttons in them and some bullets, my Nesler. And I sent them to my driver, and he was like, oh, my God, you have a Nesler in there. And I have my Chaussier button, which is in excellent shape. And I have my Enfield dual can in there. So I've got all of, my prime excellent pieces.
What kind of shape was that Enfield can in?
It is in brand new looking condition, except the bottom is rotted out. The guy that identified it said that always happens because it was very, very thin metal. Because they would push on it to get the oil out. He said he's never seen one that the bottom was intact.
Well,
that was found out in the field.
Yeah, that's common.
I'm familiar with Enfield rifles and the things that came with them for the military use. And the oil cans are either A, missing, or B, like you said, they were pushing the bottom and it cracked, wore out, gone. Even in collectible condition, they're hard to find the can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's in beautiful shape. It still has the cap on it. I won't take the cap off because it needs to stay just the way it is. But everything in the case that I put in the cases, I really hadn't done anything to. And when I got my little display cases, I thought I need to clean these so they don't deteriorate. So I spent a lot of time on that to make sure every bit of dirt was taken out of it and it was good and dry before I put it in there. I've got 2 eagle eyes. I've got a couple of gorgeous eagle buttons that still have tons of gilt on them. The Chassier button, Tony said it's the best one he's ever seen dug at the New York camp. And what else? I don't have any I have the eagle eyes, but I would like to have a cavalry or, something else, or D, that would be killer.
Nice.
There you go. My favorite button I found is a block eye brass. Solid.
Yeah.
And I didn't find that at DIV. I found that up near Orange, Virginia.
Still a nice one to hit.
A lot of general service buttons. Found 2 A's. I found
nice
80% of a CSA button and watch it literally start to disintegrate.
Oh.
Really, once there hit it was collapsing.
And I think most of the people know when we're talking I's and A's. The I's infantry, the A was artillery, C was cavalry, the D was dragoons, right?
And that's a rare one.
Yeah, that's a really rare one. And I do have one New York Excelsior button. It is in 2 pieces. It was a 3-piece button, and the middle piece usually, rusted away. And when I found the top, I hit the hole again and found the bottom, and they're both in excellent shape. Still with a lot of gold gilt on it. And then I have a little teeny weeny cuff Excelsior button that's in total intact.
Well, look at you go.
Cool.
And I found my first knapsack hanger this year. I've only dug 1 J-hook. I have 1 kepi buckle, 2 triangles. So a lot of the things I have 1 or 2 of, and that's it. So that's why I keep going.
I have found the complete knapsack, the J-hook, everything. Like it had laid there and rotted away. In fact, one still had material on it. I was with a group outside of Orange, and I just kept popping these things up, and I'm going, what have I got here? I didn't know what I had. And they came over and said, you just about got the complete knapsack stuff.
Nice.
And I ended up going 3 more feet and I had a slide buckle.
Oh, I have 1 of those, and I have 1 friction primer.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I'm
cool.
like I have the 1 of everything.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, and you got to get an ID tag yet. I saw a real pretty one that was dug at this year's DIV on a video the other day.
Oh, and what killed me is, the things on the shoulders? What are they called?
Oh, the Ephelot?
Yeah. Okay. So I dug the piece underneath that they're attached to. Okay. It came out in 2 pieces. And I did look everywhere around. Well, I don't know if the guy was before me or after me, but we were there at the same time. And when I showed him what I had, he had the Ephelot. And I was like, I hate you.
There you go. Finding those relics is fun.
He found it about
and hunting those Civil War sites is just awesome.
Yeah, he found it about 20 feet from where mine was. So it wasn't like it was real close.
Right.
But it is fun. But you know what? The camaraderie is the best thing.
Sure.
My drivers already said, you are driving with us, right? And I'm like, of course, because I've done better driving with Mark and Tommy than I have with other people.
There you go.
You know, Mark's been doing this probably 20, I think he only missed the first couple of DIVs. So he's been in it quite a long time. So he knows these farms and where to go. And I've just done better going with him. So I'm like, yeah, you better have room for me, or I know where you live.
There you go. Well, I'm going to back out of here. You guys have a great night. Everybody stay warm and safe out there. And if you do get to go out digging, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bundle up if it's cold.
Yes. Bundle up. Yeah. And have a great night, everybody.
Night, Pops. And I'm going to head out in a second too, Josh. I am just the end of 2021 was excellent. I won the Fisher F-75. I haven't seen it yet, but it's supposedly on the way. And then the other night, I won a pulse dive, which I am stoked because I will use that at home. We'll get out in the ponds with that. So hopefully this year is my year. Hopefully.
Right. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. You have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Well, good calls from Chuck and Barb, and hopefully 2022 is a great year for all of us. We'll have to see. I just gotta get some things buttoned up, I guess. Either way, we'll cross those bridges when we get to them. Obviously, I guess now is as good of time as any to let that cat out of the bag, but obviously everyone knows that Greg Papalo will be on Sunday the 16th talking about Florida Hunt 8. So that's going to be interesting to see. Looking forward to talking to him. But we will be back Wednesday with Rob Rizzo, the history digger. So Rob's looking forward to that. We're looking forward to hearing from him. And we've got that on the slate for Wednesday. So check out his YouTube channel, The History Digger. You'll see some very well done videos. And make sure and look around at those videos, because you may find some other information recently put onto YouTube that just may be a little gold mine for you. We'll have to see what happens. Either way, it is chilly here in the studio, and I forgot to grab my DETECTEES hoodie off the in-studio cam before we went live. So I'm going to have to go ahead and duck on out of here myself and warm up a bit. It is what it is. Thanks for dropping by. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. We're out of here.